You are now entering the world of a movie review. A world full of drama, joy, ridicule, movie spoilers, unpopular opinions, and adult humor for as far as the eye can see. Welcome to An Evening at the Movies.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to everybody's favorite movie-based podcast. This is An Evening at the Movies. I am your solo host for the day because Shanna's still a little bit under the weather, and Amanda's going off to some stupid-ass freaking Oklahoma-Texas football game this weekend and can't be disturbed by that. But I digress. We are here. We are here to, as always, for those of you who don't know, this is the podcast where we eat stale popcorn, drink watered down sodas, and discuss all of our favorite movies and why we love them. Occasionally, like tonight, we have a special episode on the horizon for everybody. So, what I'll get to the what we're talking about later. But for the meanwhile, I am joined by Steve and Brian, who have a very special connection to tonight's subject matter. Would you guys like to introduce yourself to the listeners and talk a little bit about what you guys do as a whole?
Okay. I'm Brian. We are, one, we're sensitives, and two, we are paranormal investigators. So we go in after the fact. So if somebody's having issues and stuff at their home, we go in and we try to help families to be able to cope with that particular situation as far as like, oh, there's a negative entity in my home, there's crap that's going on. What my particular specific role is within this group is I teach a lot, so we have a lot of trainees, and then I also am a again, just a sensitive, so I sense when things are around. I can point or go the other route, go counseling, because a lot of the times it's not stuff in your house, it's you.
True. Actually,
I've seen enough TV shows to know that, yeah, it's not always the paranormal. Sometimes it's stuff on the outside factoring in.
Go
So,
ahead, Bob.
uh, my name is Steve. My role as far as what it is that we do, I'm usually team lead. Point on a lot of these situations where we go in and help people reclaim their homes. Um, I'm also a sensitive. I'm a medium. Uh, I'm a clairaudient, so I hear more than I see, which is kind of funny because I'm visually impaired, actually. But it works in a similar way to echolocation. If I can hear them, I can usually see them. I'm also someone that does remote work, so a lot of times I'll project into someone's home or property to assess the situation. And I'm versed in several forms of exorcism and energy work. So usually, when there's a more serious case, I'm on that with Brian.
Mm-hmm.
I also have a teaching position with trainees and other students. We take on mentorships and teach classes on metaphysics and spirituality. But our team is Spirit Mechanix. We've worked with Amy Allen of the Dead Files. We've taken on several of those cases. We've worked with researcher and paranormal investigator Mr. Kyle Cobb, and we've got some other things coming up. We've done events with the Connor sisters, so we're making it happen.
hey, that as long as it's something that you care about and you're passionate about, that's all that matters.
That's it.
So, um, I guess before we start to get into the whole subject matter of the episode, just still in that get to know you guys process.
Yeah.
Fair.
So, what are your guys' feelings on like the wealth of different? I'm not singling out anybody per se, or any show per se, or any fandom per se, but there seems to be a lot of paranormal investigation shows out there in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are your guys' thoughts on the wealth of paranormal subject matter out there on TV? In your experiences, is there one that may or may not? Is there certain styles of shows that may feel more realistic or less realistic? You know,
Right.
as a whole.
As far as realistic, I would say old and the like early 2000s
Yeah,
episodes
like
of
the early seasons.
the early seasons of Ghost Hunters with Taps. That's what got me into everything, and I know it's dramatized for television. You put the music on, you create the atmosphere. I'm a producer myself, so I kind of get the shots that they used and things like that. So I'd say as far as that, early episodes of Ghost Hunters, as far as like there, I don't want to call out anybody.
That's the problem.
Because there's a bunch of them that I go, you're just a muscle bound dude with a tight t-shirt.
Okay, I could probably ascertain when you say that maybe one or two shows that could be referring
Yeah,
to. So
yeah,
just again, so we don't necessarily have to isolate one particular show or one particular fandom. We'll just stick with the fact that I think I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Here, it's yours.
I wrapped it for you.
It is a gift. But yeah, that in all honesty, that would be the only one. Um, there is a lot, and I can talk about some of this, uh, but there's a lot as far as the Dead Files. That's a show. Obviously, it's near and dear to us because of the previous
Amy.
medium that was on it.
Yeah.
But there's a lot that is edited out and shifted to make for more shock and awe TV. But as far as the method used and the the discussion that's had, so the actual facilitation of the medium on that show, um, it's actually really amazing because there's actual science that's put behind it. There's actual psychology. We're taking the religious iconography words off the walls. We're removing family photos. We're removing things that they can draw inferences from, and it is just the client's home without the
Stuff.
yes.
You're stripping stuff down to like brass tacks and
Oh yeah. That way, there's nothing to influence. That way, there's no bias,
yeah.
and what you get is raw evidence. Whereas a lot of times, you watch these shows, and I think I can speak for both of us on this one. Don't send us evidence of orbs. Don't do it. We're going to dismiss it.
Yeah.
Nine
No, I
times,
totally get that.
yeah, like 9 times out of 10, orbs are just dust or bugs or different things, and someone wants to think that it's something paranormal, when in fact their house is just a mess.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen enough episodes of like Ghost Hunters to know that most of those orbs that people think are paranormal,
Mm-hmm.
that's what they prove to be, just like a dust mite or whatever the case may be. But I can't honestly recall the last time that some like an orb like that was actually proven to be paranormal and not
Mm-hmm.
just dust or whatever the case may be. So, and to me, it always seems like the best way to go about being involved in paranormal investigation is to come in with a clear blank slate, no expectations. No, I mean, you may have to know a little bit about the history, but if you come in with a whole bunch of preconceived notions that can tend to psychologically hinder your openness to what you're looking for,
Yeah, it's
So
pareidolia. It causes
yeah,
an effect called pareidolia, and it's also causes an effect called matrixing. Pareidolia is you see faces in things, kind of like the Virgin Mary on a tortilla.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's what pareidolia is. Matrixing is you hear white noise or you hear a series of noises and your brain registers it as voices. So, oh, it's a woman. It's a little boy. It's a little girl. So if you have you've done the thing, you're coming in with a preconceived notion that there's supposed to be a child spirit here, you're probably going to hear that because
at
you've already
some point, yeah,
psychologically triggered yourself.
yeah. So if there is something that stands out to both of you, is there like a place that you investigated that you would classify as your all-time favorite place that you may have looked at? I mean, if you can't divulge specifics, that's fine too. But um, like we had somebody on last week who talked about a couple of different places she's investigated, and there was some significant places that she's been as well. But um, if there was something that jumped out that you guys have done that screamed like, "Oh my god, this was like the best place I've ever investigated."
Hmm. Wow. Um,
I know it's kind of a big question, but
it kind of is. We do a whole lot of residentials, but one of the places that kind
which would
of
be a little bit more complicated to divulge
right.
specifics on.
One of the big places for me was probably Octagon Hall here in Franklin, Kentucky.
Mhm.
Um, that place, especially right before morning, so in the gray of the day, it came alive. Like actively, there were things being shifted without people in the room. Pictures were being tilted and dropped. Uh, Audible footsteps. It wasn't just EVP. Audible conversations happening in the next room when everybody was in one room together. It was wild. Um, Nothing inherently negative, but it was a lot of activity. There was a lot going on there.
I haven't got to investigate Octagon Hall. That was I think it was before my time when you went.
Um, it was with Tyree and them
Gotcha.
just a few months ago.
Gotcha. So I didn't get to go to that one. Yay. Probably one of my favorite places that I've got to investigate. More sentimental than it is there was a lot of stuff that was going on. Is the Ross Opera House in Cynthiana, Kentucky. It's an old theater. Our one of our mentors in paranormal investigation, Wes Forsyth, investigated there a lot when he was basically cutting his teeth in getting into the field. And I used to live there. I was born there, and my first movie I got to see there was Ghostbusters 2. So I got to investigate it when I got older, and it was one of those things of I get to return to childhood, and then we started seeing some stuff. It was minor things, some minor EVPs, nothing that was like there's a full body apparition going across. A little bit of trigger object manipulation. So as far as
that
like
was really awesome. That particular bit was really cool. Because that was when we got the ball that was going back and forth between another member's girlfriend at the time,
their wife now.
She was passing a ball back and forth between her and a child
with nothing. Here she was passing a ball back and forth with nothing,
and it would stop and then be pushed back, and it would do it on command, quote unquote command. Can you stop the ball? and it didn't matter where it was in the process of rolling, it would stop, and record skip kind of stop. And okay, can you roll the ball back to me? And at a full stop, it would roll back to her.
Yeah.
You know, the Carnegie.
Yeah, the Carnegie was all right. We got more stuff with like their spirit box and stuff like that. But
the phone camera.
Oh yeah, they kept playing with somebody's cell phone camera, so it would, like, they'd push the button on the camera. They're holding the phone on the sides, not pushing the volume button for the thing. They're on the bottom of it, making sure that everybody sees that they're not touching it, and it would just flash like the camera's being triggered.
That was another situation.
That was pretty cool
with supposed child spirits, and she sat Indian style on the floor. Okay, do you see this? And she pointed to it and held it up to everybody so that everyone knew what she was doing, and then tapped it. So tap this when you want to answer yes. And she was actually getting intelligent responses while holding the phone for everyone to see.
I guess in a way that could kind of sort of be attributed like to a modern day version of like the flashlight method that they do all the time on ghost hunters, where you literally unloosen the lens on a flashlight and then get it to that point where it could go either way, off or on.
Yeah.
And then you start asking questions. And so other than the obvious being, sensitive to that type of stuff, what do you guys feel like makes a good quality paranormal investigator?
Logic.
Yeah, use your brain.
Logic.
If it's not a 12-foot demon that's coming after you, it is, you don't know. If you don't know, don't attribute something to it. That's the biggest thing. I've seen people freak themselves completely out, and I'm going, why?
There's nothing there. Literally. Also, understand your environment. Get environmentals. EMF sweeps, check crawl spaces, check attics, even if it's a more public space, you want to know what's going on. When was the last time the building was serviced? How old is the wiring in it? These kinds of things. We had a local case, and swore there were demons in her walls. Swore it, and was a hysterical mess over it. And we wind up getting there and go upstairs to the attic and check, and there's a softball size hole in her roof, and squirrels had nested in the fiberglass insulation. But it was demons.
Could attribute, I was gonna say, which could attribute to all the weird noises you think you hear that you think are paranormal.
Yep,
exactly.
But it's not, because you have a big ass freaking hole in your ceiling and little rodents scurrying around all over the place.
It sure does sound like scratching in the wall.
It sure does. Maybe because it is, but
so on the other paranormal episode that we just did last week, we also brought up one that I think actually has a whole lot of weight to this question, as well as you kind of sort of have to be patient and
yes,
not expect that just because you go into somewhere, like, okay, I'm gonna rip the band-aid off and just go to the most notorious paranormal location that everybody's gonna know, just in case you're not as knowledgeable on paranormal. But say I just out of the clear blue go spend a weekend at the Stanley Hotel.
Yeah.
Just because I go check in at the Stanley Hotel does not mean that I'm gonna have 18,000 different paranormal activities that are gonna happen in my room, around me, whatever the case may be.
Absolutely.
But there could be times where you do check into some place like the Stanley, and it just so happens everything manifests at the right time in the right environment, and things are popping off left and right.
That's why they call it ghost hunting. It's like going deer hunting.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
You're not going to
it
see
is.
deer every time you go.
And even if you see them, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to catch them either.
Exactly. You may miss.
You know,
More often than not, you may miss.
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people watch these TV shows and they think that, and it's not to say that some of the evidence isn't real, because some of it is,
Mhm.
but what they do to fill the gaps between actual evidence and dead time is shock and awe. Oh my God! Did you hear that noise that the camera guy made down the hall? You know, it's that kind of shit. Well, the thing about that is that the evidence that they get that's actually legitimate, they spend multiple nights doing these investigations,
Mm-hmm.
hours at a time,
Mm-hmm.
and it's condensed down to a 45-minute block. So you've got anywhere between 12 and almost 36 hours worth of footage to go through just to find what little bit they're able to air.
Well, and see, that's the thing that ticks me off about the whole reality show thing is everybody assumes that what you see on TV is it. It's Bible. It's whatever the case may be. But you don't realize when you're on a show like Survivor or whatever, and you're filming 24 hours a day. Obviously, you can't show 24 hours worth of, in, especially considering you have 1 week. You have to condense all of that down into one hour episode.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of freaking hours that end up on the cutting room floor, people.
Oh yeah.
And the
Oh
same
yeah.
could be said for Ghost Hunters or Ghost
That's
Adventures or Dead Files, or I mean,
Any of them.
yeah.
it's not
It's
just singled out to one specific show.
You know how they make it look like it's all the same? They use the green filter on the camera, the night vision.
Yeah.
That way, you can't tell the difference in the lighting.
Well,
Yipper.
and if you notice too, at least I've noticed, and the thought popped into my head, but like when you're looking at all these different people that may come in and off screen
Mm-hmm.
when the night vision filters on,
Mm-hmm.
you can't necessarily tell the difference in their clothing either because of the way the light
Yep.
reflects off of their clothes. So you can't tell, oh, hey, that's the same out or that's a different outfit than what they were wearing 15 minutes ago on the
Yep.
show. But realistically, it's 3 days later because, and again, not to, shoot down any of these other shows, but Chris, the lady that was on last week, brought up the fact that she did an investigation about 6 months ago, about a week after one of these other TV shows was in there.
Yeah.
And the show leads you to believe that it's like a 2-day investigation that the guy that she met with that went through like the history of the site with her said they were here for like 9 days shooting.
Yeah.
Oh
So
yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
at
I
the end of the
can.
day, don't get tricked by the whole 2 days and we're out.
No. I mean, that may be the amount of footage that they've condensed down. But yeah, a lot of those TV shows, just talking about, because it's the one we know, just talking about the Dead Files,
Mhm.
it was at least a week.
Yep.
At least a week. And that's all the interviews, that's all the research, that's the nights that were spent there. This is over the span of an entire week.
Pickup shots.
Yeah.
Your pickup shots. You're needing to get your B-roll. You needing to get this. There's so much stuff that goes into production that if you physically cannot do it all in the span of a day.
No, it's impossible. Even
Well,
with the
and
full.
you got to remember too, some of these places like the Stanley Hotel and some of these notorious ones that have like this big long history of whatever, it's going to take a while to get from, starting your research to finishing your research and getting to that point where you feel like you can thoroughly go in and do a proper investigation and not look like a moron going through trying to half-ass an investigation that you're not fully prepared for.
Right.
All right. So I think, not that I want to cut it short, but we do have some other stuff that I would like to get through or get into for the episode.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
if we have the listeners out there who didn't listen to last week's bonus episode, so basically what we're going to do is I've got a decent sized list of generic questions, but by saying generic, I don't necessarily want you guys to feel like you have to give generic. You can be as specific as you want. You can name whatever you want by way of movies, whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
But I think the whole idea behind this episode is I wanted to discuss with some people who have real life experiences out in the real world, and then kind of sort of tie that into um, how those real life experiences kind of sort of tie to and relate to cinema, since we
Mm.
are a movie based podcast and cinema is a lot of what we do. And I think paranormal stuff in the cinema,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
there's a wealth of stuff that we can talk about, good stuff and bad. Not saying that all paranormal movies are good, not saying all paranormal movies are bad, but there's obviously some great movies. There's obviously some hot garbage movies. I'm sure both
Ghost.
I'm sure both will get discussed in this episode. So, are we ready to talk about some movies?
Let's do it.
Let's get it, man.
All right. So, I don't think you can get too far into the discussion without going with the first question. And what do you guys think makes a great movie about the paranormal?
Ooh.
It's got to be suspenseful. If you're going to talk about a paranormal movie, you're looking at like
It's
it
atmosphere.
atmosphere. It's got to be suspenseful.
Tension.
The tension needs to be like, you remember the shoot, what's that movie? Oh crap, what's that movie? It's Paranormal Activity,
Oh yeah.
the first one, not the rest
Mhm.
of them. The first one.
Yeah. Yeah. The
The first
rest of
one
them
was
go in that. The rest of the franchise goes in that hot garbage bin.
Mm-hmm.
Yup. But yeah, throughout the entire thing, and it's small things that start to build into a huge situation at the end. I mean, if you haven't seen it, you haven't seen it, but not to give spoilers.
Oh, at this point, it's old enough that we generally try, and if it's younger than a year old, we'll
Okay.
minimize we'll minimize this. But if it's older than a year,
You've
y'all
had
had the
you've had
chance.
ample opportunity.
You have. It's on streaming.
Exactly.
But yeah, as far as Paranormal Activity, I think that with the first one, I think the thing that got me the most is how accurate it actually was until the bigger scenes.
Yeah.
You know, it was very accurate. You know,
It's small, subtle,
just little
little
nudges,
changes.
and that's how it actually builds. You know, us doing what it is that we do. That's how these cases actually begin to build, and you do at the end of it wind up with something huge that the family either A didn't know about or B didn't talk about because they were afraid of it. And Paranormal Activity was really good.
It messed me up.
It was really good at making sure that you knew what the situation was. I mean,
I
Go ahead.
remember watching that movie the first time, and I was watching it with somebody, and some of that little stuff throughout, like the first 75% of the movie, it's like you don't pick it up the first time watching through, and whoever that you're sitting there with may have picked is like, did you see that? Did you see that? And it's like, so you start watching closer and closer and closer, and then all of a sudden you get to that big spot at the end, and it's like, bam,
Right.
and it makes you jump out of your skin. That big spot at the end may not necessarily be 100% real and accurate, but
Right.
it definitely adds the whole.
Well, I think with that one, the thing that gets
It-
me is he was actually a Dead Files case, but a member of our team. His name is Keith Ottersberg. his case was literally like that. It was to the point where he was actually drug out of bed like that and thrown down his own stairs. By his wife's account and his son's account, he was literally pulled out of the bed and dragged by the leg and thrown down his own stairs. You know, that's what messed me up.
Yeah.
Is
That, yeah. Ain't nobody dragging me out of bed and throwing me down the stairs.
We're
I'll
fighting.
pass.
you're going with me.
I love Paranormal Investigation, but yeah, no. Somebody even remotely tries to drag me out of bed, you better wake up in your dream.
You're going with me. I'm taking
exactly.
Yeah, dude. When I first watched it, it really, really got me. I mean, we do what we do. There's for me, there's an element of excitement. I get to help somebody. I get to go into somebody's home and do the thing. But I'm sitting here and I'm watching this and I'm going, I will pull every trick out of the book to mess whatever this thing is up. I swear.
Don't touch me.
Let's see. Well, okay. Another great jumping off point. I think it kind of sort of got brought up initially a little while ago, but what was the first horror movie you remember seeing as a kid? Prefaced with, what was the first paranormal movie that you remember seeing as a kid?
Oh, paranormal. Okay.
Paranormal slash horror, both. There's two sides to the question.
Okay.
As a kid. Oh, wow.
The first paranormal movie I saw as a kid was obviously Ghostbusters 2. I was 6. That was my thing. I wanted to be a Ghostbuster when I grew up, and I ended up being a Ghostbuster when I grew up.
Actually, if we're being honest, it was either Ghostbusters 2, talking about paranormal. What was that? There was there's a ghost story with kids. It wasn't Casper. I'm trying to remember what it was. Anyway, it was probably some B movie from the 80s, but Ghostbusters 2 sticks out. You know, growing up, Casper stuck out because everybody watched Casper.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Christina Ricci.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody watched Casper.
Ooh, Christina Ricci.
I think actually one of my, and it was a cartoon, but one of my favorite things was the actual Ghostbusters cartoon from the 80s.
Yeah, real Ghostbusters.
The real Ghostbusters. And then Scooby-Doo.
Oh, yeah.
Scooby-Doo is actually what got me into wanting to do paranormal investigation as an adult.
Oh.
It really was, because it was a group of friends. You know, I got older and I understood exactly what this was, but, you know, it was a group of friends that went out and solved mysteries. They helped people out. They figured out what was going on with the situation and handled it. And I'm like, I want to do that shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got older and I was like, so it's a bunch of people getting bait to go into a haunted house, and you know it's good shit because the dog talks. so, you know.
I had never thought about it, but yeah, I think Scooby-Doo is probably the thing that got me most interested in paranormal. Followed obviously by Ghostbusters, because you can't not say you love anything paranormal investigation and not have some kind of love and respect for either of the two Ghostbusters movies that literally started the whole craze. Not saying Scooby-Doo didn't, but
oh, of course.
I think Ghostbusters definitely is the entity that ripped the Band-Aid off the wound for the world to really fall in love with paranormal investigation.
Actually, yeah.
Dan Aykroyd actually is an occultist.
He is. He is a UFOologist. He's also he's got his own society, doesn't he?
I think so.
Yeah, his own paranormal society. But yeah, it was crazy. You know, 'cause he's like, well, let's see what we can do with this, and went weird with it. He went so weird with it. But if it wasn't for people like him that tried to make the paranormal a lot more mainstream, a lot more accessible, we wouldn't have what we have today.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we wouldn't have the paranormal societies and institutes that go in and do the research. And we also wouldn't have some great movies and good TV, you know.
Well, at the end of the day, you look at how many just TV shows alone in the paranormal investigation world there are.
Yeah.
That doesn't even scratch the surface as to how many, I assume, societies and groups that, like yourself, ghost hunters,
Mm-hmm.
all of the other wealth of teams that there are out there that are doing what you guys do. So yeah, probably I would dare say thousands of people are out
Oh,
there
yeah.
doing this, and
Yeah.
most of them, I would bet at least 90 to 95% of them would say they're doing it because they fell in love with Ghostbusters as a kid.
I'd agree with that.
100%. Slimer was my jam when I was a kid.
I know for 100% sure that Amanda would agree with both of you that Ghostbusters 2 is the shit. So, it is what it is. I'm not saying Ghostbusters 2 is a bad movie. I prefer the original personally myself, but
Fair.
I liked the what was it? I mean, as a kid, I ended up watching 2 first, and then I ended up watching 1 later on. As far as like they're starting a paranormal society and stuff like that, 1 and the storyline of 1 is a lot better than 2. I mean, Happy Slime.
Yeah.
Is a little bit
Vigo.
Yeah, Vigo the Carpathian.
I'm not gonna lie though. My favorite part of that whole second movie is that freaking little weasel museum curator.
Oh
What
my
was it?
god,
Yeah.
yes.
Janusz with his little freaking accent and his whole
So it was
creepy
so good.
stalker behavior towards Dana.
Yeah.
I laugh my ass off every time I see that movie, thanks to him.
I'm covered in goo.
Oh,
He was almost like that movie's version of the Rick Moranis dweeb from the first movie. Not
Yeah.
saying that Rick Moranis wasn't a dweeb in the second movie, but he was a lot more over the top in the original movie than he was in the second one. He was almost more relatable in the second movie than he was in the first one, in my
He got
opinion.
to go with the guys.
he did.
Yeah,
He got
he
to go
he
with
was
the guy.
he was being accepted into the world as you're one of us.
That I mean, Janine probably eased that down a bit.
I mean, towards the end of the movie, they did get it on.
They tried anyway.
Yeah, he kind of got a little bit interrupted. Dana was kind of a little bit of a cock block, but
Yeah. Was that something?
I mean, we got to keep it at least PG-13, I imagine.
Yeah, at least on that
Yeah.
one. I was going to go somewhere else.
I-
Anyway,
I would definitely say you don't need to worry about keeping it PG-13. We have gone in the gutter numerous times on the show, and I'm
it's a
proud to
beaver
say
dam.
It's Beaver Dam. Yeah.
It's not a cock block,
exactly
it's a beaver dam.
that too. But we will definitely probably, as soon as the girls get back from everything, we'll go right back in the gutter because that's what we do every week, because that's what separates us away from the rest of the cookie cutter podcast shows.
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
So,
Wrapping back to your question about horror movies, first horror movie
Yeah.
I watched
Mm-hmm.
was Friday the 13th.
Which one?
Because
I was going to say, because if it's anything other than the correct answer, I will cut this interview short right now.
I think it was 3.
Okay, thank God.
Yeah, it was 3. It was the first horror movie I watched was 3. So when he
I
got the hockey mask.
I thought you were gonna say 8, and if you were gonna say 8,
No.
No,
No.
Jason takes Manhattan? What?
yeah,
No.
No.
I've
No.
Not even. You know what
No.
the best? You know what the best outing in
I
that
know a
entire
couple of
series
different.
You what now?
The
Repeat,
ending of
sir.
that movie was the best part.
Yeah.
Well, no, I was just gonna say I've had a couple different people on the show that swear that they love Jason Takes Manhattan, and it's like,
Oh,
for
it's
what
awful.
reason?
It's
Oh,
so
this, that, and it's like, it's false advertisement. One, he takes Manhattan. He doesn't show up in Manhattan until the last 8.5 minutes of the movie.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's so true.
The acting is horrible. The story is horrible.
These are the kind
I'm
of
not
people
going down
that
that
say
level.
Jason X was a good movie.
I can stomach Jason. I can stomach Jason X more than I can stomach Jason Takes Manhattan.
We're gonna create a super.
Just saying. Not saying Jason X is fucking great, but it's
Kane Hodder is
far
awesome.
better than Jason Takes Manhattan.
Kane Hodder is pretty awesome. As an individual,
He really is, and he got the shit end of the damn stick though, because he ended up coming into the franchise at the tail end where all he got presented was shit freaking stories.
Truth.
true. Although he had one of the best kills in the entire series.
Yeah,
The sleeping bag.
The sleeping bag.
The sleeping bag. Yep.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, that one was a Kane Hodder.
We've got to actually sit down and throw axes with him and drink whiskey.
Yeah, we hung out with him in RA.
I've heard that he is one of the most easy and fan friendly
Oh yeah,
dude's a
people out
sweetheart.
there.
Both of them are. They're awesome individuals.
we do Scarefest every year. It's up here in Lexington, Kentucky, and it's all it is a horror / paranormal convention.
Mm-hmm.
So we've gotten to hang out with Jason.
I need to win the lottery and go on vacation, and I'm coming to Lexington.
It's
October 20th through the 22nd.
Yep, this year. But yeah,
I still got to get independently wealthy to afford that.
Jason Napier, and then Kane and RA, and trying to think.
I think it was one of the Michaels, but I just don't remember his name.
I don't either. I'm terrible on that
Because
one.
there's like 12 of them that have played Michael.
Yeah,
True.
It was one of them. I just don't remember which specific one. Because he was wearing a suit and it threw me off.
Fucking right. Everybody else is in like busted jeans and a t-shirt, and he's rolling around in the suits. Like what?
Yeah, sense the climate of the room, dude. You don't have to show up in a damn tuxedo to a horror con or a paranormal con.
Yeah, for real.
Throw a t-shirt and some jeans on. They'll be happy to see you.
Hell yeah, they will.
One of the best, and this was one of the first actual horror movies I saw, but the original Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, yeah.
And one of the greatest things, the wife and I actually got a photo op with Robert Englund. And
I hate you.
he's actually a stellar dude. I was walking with Kane, Sensory Kane, so that I could get around the convention because I can't hear to echolocate because of the crowd. And he noticed that I had stopped and everybody else was walking. He talked me in, moved me to where, he wanted me to be. He's like, hey, it's okay. Follow the sound of my voice. I'll take care of you.
Mm-hmm.
Set the shot up himself, took the picture, gave everybody hugs. I mean, spent the time. People were so pissed off because he actually takes the time to talk to his fans. Even if it's like 15 minutes. Hey, I'm here for you. You're paying me to be here. I'm here for you. He's one of the best.
Mm-hmm.
So again, for anybody who has not listened to the show before, Amanda and I have been doing this show for almost 3 years. Amanda is a hardcore Halloween fan. I am hardcore Nightmare on Elm Street fan, and we've argued back and forth numerous times about which one is better. And I don't think you can actually have a legitimate answer to this question because each franchise brings something different to the table.
Of
But I
course.
will say this, my dream horror scenario, bucket list item, would be to meet Robert Englund before he dies.
He
I'm
may be back to Scarefest soon. He didn't come back this year. I don't think they were able to get him, but I know that they're trying to. So it's something to keep an eye out for.
I've definitely put that on my radar because, like, I know she got to go and meet John Carpenter
Oh,
and
buddy.
PJ Souls at a con down in Dallas a few months
Mhm.
back,
Yeah.
and she got actually pictures with her and PJ Souls wearing a Linda T-shirt that said "totally" across the top.
Oh, that's amazing.
Both blondes, both had the freaking pigtails in their hair like Linda did. So it was priceless. If I can find it, I'll share the picture with you guys. It was actually a pretty cool picture.
That sounds
But
awesome.
yeah, her bucket list item would definitely have been to meet John Carpenter, and she got to do it. Mine, absolutely 100% would be Robert Englund. Even before I read his um, autobiography, Hollywood Monster,
Yeah.
it's like after I read that book, like my dream podcast scenario now is to find a way to get him to come on the show and just get the chance to interview him so that everybody can hear just how intelligent and well spoken and, from what I understand, incredibly fan friendly he is. You know, you don't always get that with celebrities, or celebrities can come across as being fake and pretentious. He does not strike me as being somebody at all who is any of that, other than kind and warm and welcoming to his fans. So
Well, it's kind of one of those things where I think a lot of them, they get, cart before the horse, but you got to think that these are the people that pay my bills.
Yeah.
I need to
yeah,
show at least a moniker of respect when it comes to my fans or people that are paying to come and see me. I'm not saying for me as from my point of view, but me, if I were a celebrity or something like that, that'd be the thing. It's what's the point in being a dick?
well,
Literally.
Just flat say it. What's the point of being a dick?
I'm not trying to put Robert down by any stretch of the imagination because I think he's an incredibly talented actor. I've seen a lot of stuff that he's done. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think the masses have seen a lot of the other stuff that he's done.
I agree. Yeah.
So if it really boils down to it, probably the one role that has made him his fortune is A Nightmare
Freddy
on Elm
Krueger.
Street.
Yeah.
So at the same time, you kind of sort of have to bite the bullet and thank these people that really lined your pocketbook now for the better part of
Yeah.
almost 40 years.
Shit. Oh my
So
God. Yeah.
Yeah.
40 years.
Oh, dude, it is. One of the coolest people. Again, it was another Scarefest opportunity, but Bruce Campbell was
ooh,
actually pretty awesome too. He was really cool.
That was last year, wasn't it? Or was that the year
It was
before?
the year before,
Gotcha.
I believe. Yeah,
I know he's there the year before and last year.
I've heard that he's also very fan friendly as well.
he is. He'll take the time. He's very about it though, because he understands. There's a lot of people.
Oh yeah, obviously you go to these conventions and you've got people lined up for hours and hours and hours. You can't just sit there and have a full on conversation with every one of them.
That's pretty much it. But he was never cool. You got your picture, get the fuck out. It wasn't anything like that.
Yeah.
He would shake hands and give hugs. I mean, there's pictures floating around from his photo op where people were proposing and him, over top of him go, wow, and shaking hands and hugging kids and all kinds of cool shit. It's pretty great.
Running for mayor.
Right? Shaking hands and kissing babies. Danny Trejo.
Yeah, he was pretty
Oh
cool.
God, Danny Trejo is the freaking god in my opinion. I don't care what anybody says.
He's 5 foot tall. Like legitimately, he's like 5 foot tall.
It
fucked
never
me
would have
up
guessed that
on the first time.
Because you're expecting machete,
7'8".
and
well,
no,
because that's always how he's shot in the movies. Is I guess now it makes sense. He's always shot from below, so he looks a lot bigger. And I mean, let's be honest, the dude is freaking ripped like there's no tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
It was the coolest shit. Like
he put on the Viking helmet and got on on a toothless thing that they had a display with the Viking axe,
and was doing the full scream. There was on the Scarefest 4. He took a video with a little girl that was barely knee high, and he put on the tough guy face, and he's like, "This is my new friend, and we're gonna go get tacos. Isn't that right?" And she's like, "I want tacos," and he went nuts. Picked her up and hugged her. It was the greatest thing in the world.
See, and it's the little stuff like that that resonates so much with the fans because, like we've all said, the fans are the ones that are lining your pocketbook. At the end of the day, it might be a little bit of an inconvenience, but you're doing it to pay tribute and thank the fans for lining your pocketbook. So bite the bullet and make the experience memorable for them.
Yeah.
Because if you lose them at the end of the day, you ain't got shit.
That's it.
I don't care what kind of celebrity you are. If you don't have fans, you ain't got shit. I'll say that until I'm blue in the face. I don't care. You could be Tom Cruise all you freaking want. If people don't respect you, you ain't got shit.
Truth.
That's it.
Not getting on my Tom Cruise horse though. So moving on to the next question.
Yes, sir.
So the way I look at Paradise, you have kind of two different styles of film. You've got the documentary style type, Blair Witch, Paranormal Activity, blah 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 blah, and then you have like the fictionalized paranormal movies.
Uh-huh.
Is there a style for your liking that you prefer one over the other or whichever?
One of the best movies, and this is personal preference. Everybody's got their favorite stuff, but one of the best horror movies I think I've seen in like the last 10, 15 years, because it's an older movie at this point, was The Rite with Anthony Hopkins.
Why you gotta say old? Now you're making me feel like ancient and shit.
Same.
Dude, you brought up Nightmare on Elm Street
40 years ago.
40 years ago.
I have a feeling all three of us, without discussing the actual number, are probably pretty close to being in that same window.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah. Next year.
And we'll be 40 next year, man.
Oh,
but yeah,
46. I got 47 in February, so once you get to be our age, it's just another freaking year. Move on, suck it up, celebrate me for a day.
Cool. I got cake. Awesome.
I get to exist for another year. Sad face. But
damn it, the forever sleep isn't coming.
Almost.
I'm not ready for that forever sleep just yet.
Fair.
Same. But yeah, that kind of movie where it is not just stated, but it actually is based in real events. Because to me, you get a lot of these movies, especially nowadays, based on actual events, which is bullshit. But the Rite was actually based off of a priest that had been with the Vatican for so long. He actually had a case that was 3 decades long that he was in the middle of helping somebody through. And it used actual Vatican
Procedure.
procedure. Basically, it used archived information. They
Mhm.
actually released it for this film so that they could actually do it properly. Uh, so names might have been altered, but the cases were actually legitimate. And that is what fucked me up. you know, I've seen some crazy shit in my time of doing what it is that I do, but for this movie to be based in actual fact, it really kind of fucked me up. Um, so that kind of stuff really gets me.
Kind of the same vein. I know they over stylized it in comparison to probably what it was, but obviously more modern Conjuring.
Yeah, it yeah.
Yeah.
I know they over dramatized it, but still, it was in that early stages of paranormal investigation what they were trying to portray.
Back in the Warrens' heyday,
Yeah,
because the Conjuring cases were some of their biggest ones.
mm-hmm.
Uh,
It never I never understood the fucking nun reference until they started making those movies, and I'm like, I don't want to watch it though.
I wasn't as much of a fan of the Nun per se. I can get behind The Conjuring a little bit.
there's the Conjuring. Looking at that, uh, the whole court case that came about from that, the devil made me do it. That particular line, that court case, that situation was real and was one of the only cases on record that was actually thrown out because of actual paranormal evidence. The person was well, it wasn't thrown out. It was dismissed and then revisited, but it basically got broken up because of actual paranormal evidence.
Mm.
The person was actually seen as possessed at that particular time in their life. It didn't get them off the hook, but it was proven.
Mm.
So, you've got things like that. And then Haunting in Connecticut, that was also based off of a real paranormal case.
I mean, the most famous freaking one, Amityville.
Oh, yeah. The
think-
DeFeo house. Yeah.
Amityville is fucking classic.
Yeah. Which version?
I prefer the old school version, but I will say this: the Ryan Reynolds version is not the worst remake of a horror movie that I've ever seen in my entire life.
You know what's
So-
hilarious about that movie? Is he actually went full method. Locked
Ryan
himself.
did?
Yes. Locked himself in his trailer so that he could stay in character and not hurt or scare anybody on set. And when he's coming through the door, like they've barricaded it with the dresser in that particular scene,
Mhm.
he came through. That was completely ad libbed. He started coming through the door. That was not something that was director driven. He did that on his own without telling them he was going to do it, and scared the fuck out of them. That was actually legitimate horror.
I am not going to lie. I think Ryan Reynolds is probably one of the most underrated actors that there is out there today. I'm not necessarily saying he's greater than, your obvious clear cut, your Tom Hankses and all of that. But Ryan Reynolds does not get the credit that he deserves for being as amazing as he is. And clearly, Amityville is a testament to that, as well as the fact how good of a job he did in both Deadpool movies.
Yes.
Chef's kiss.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's like Deadpool was created for him.
Now they just need to hurry up and get to Deadpool 3 because I'm sick and tired of fucking waiting for that shit.
Agreed.
But
he actually got
I will say this.
Wolverine.
Oh, go ahead. I'll let you guys finish before I go.
Oh
with
no,
what I was going to say.
I was commenting on Deadpool 3. He actually got Hugh Jackman to come back as Wolverine for it.
And I did not think that shit was going to happen at all. I figured after Logan, he was done.
That's what he said. He said he was done playing the character. So,
well, I mean, you keep getting ribbed and pushed and nudged through the Deadpool films. Of course, you got to come back. There's money on the table.
The nice thing is, I don't think it's going to be one of these little brief little, peekaboo. I'm going to pop my head in and I'm gone moments. I think he's actually there for a significant portion of the movie, rumor wise, at least anyway. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see when it comes out.
Yipper.
I will say this though, I am 100% glad that when we talked about the documentary style and fictionalized paranormal movies, neither of the two of you brought up freaking the Blair Witch Project.
Oh,
it's awful.
I will say this, and Dre, my other network, one of my other network compadres, and I have had this discussion before. We can respect the fact that they had little to no budget at all to make that movie, and then they went on to make how many millions of dollars at the box office. That's fine. My other side of that coin, though, y'all took that damn movie and literally publicized it as real events, blah, 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 only to find out 2 months after it freaking came out, oh no, it's all fucking lies.
Yep.
It's like, are you freaking kidding me? Don't play with our freaking minds like that, people.
I mean, the greatest sequel of all time, Season of the Witch, right?
Oh my. Yeah. No, yeah. I'm not a fan of any movie that's named Season of the Freaking Witch. I don't care if it's freaking Blair Witch. I don't care if it's freaking Halloween 3. Yes, Amanda, I said it.
Halloween 3 is
Halloween 3.
Garbage.
Awful.
Hot.
Awful.
Steaming garbage.
Yes. So, all right, really quick before we go ahead and wrap up the interview, let's just go with this one. Can you guys each name your top 3 favorite paranormal movies that you've ever seen?
Oh, damn.
Okay.
Wow. Top 3 paranormal movies. So is this including horror, or is this just paranormal?
Well, I mean,
comedy too.
We could make it top 5 and include horror. That way, everybody gets their just due. So we'll go ahead and top 5 horror, and throw in some paranormal in there for color.
Okay. Damn, that's actually.
I know it's a tough question.
Well, I mean, we already threw in Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah.
But it's very much a nostalgia movie for me. But I don't know if I would put it in my top 5.
Like horror paranormals.
Yeah, I don't know if I would put it in my top 5. Hellraiser was good.
The first one.
Yeah, even though I know what it was now. Back then, I didn't.
Yeah, when people find out what the movies were.
I first saw that movie and I did not get it at all. For our literature podcast that we had last month, we analyzed The Hellbound Heart, which is the book that Hellraiser is based on, and we're doing Hellraiser in a couple weeks on An Evening at the Movies.
Oh, excellent.
Oh my God, I did not remember this movie being what it legitimately is.
Yeah.
But yet we're still gonna do it. So
Hey, it is one of the greats.
But for what it is,
For what it is.
for what it is,
when you know.
when you know, you know.
yeah, this is one of those movies that the girls tapped out on because they're like, yeah, no, you can do this with Chansey, the guy who's coming on to discuss it with me. You can do that shit all on your own. We're out. I'm like,
Fair.
I can't complain. I can see how the girls might be a little bit squeamish to it.
Fair.
Yeah. Yeah.
The remake wasn't bad.
No, it wasn't bad. I wouldn't call it stellar, but it wasn't bad.
Let's see.
So we got Hellraiser.
Yeah.
We did talk about Paranormal Activity.
Yeah, I definitely would probably put it as far as the top 5. I put it probably at 5. Yeah.
We can put that in there. Let's see. I'm trying to think of actually really good ones, and that's the problem.
Yeah, because at the same time, some of those you think are going to be great, but then you sit down to actually watch them, and it's like, yeah, I'm 15 minutes in, and I could care less about this movie.
Pretty much.
Oh crap!
So we got 2. We got to come up with 3 more.
Give me 3 more, man. Oh, the Bruce Willis movie.
Sixth Sense.
Yeah, Sixth Sense was pretty good.
It actually was for what it was. It was a really good ghost story. Definitely that. And I mean, it's iconic. I see dead people. So,
probably. What was it? It was It's a shitty one. I wouldn't put it in my top 5, but it just my brain remembered it because the dude possessed TVs. The shocker. It was a shitty B movie from the 80s. It was like, oh, that's a memory.
Lawnmower Man.
Yeah.
That kind of shit.
There's so much great freaking crappy freaking horror from our childhood.
Yeah.
One that actually messed me up, and it did, just because body horror really fucks with me. Because one of the big reasons why is I have to sit like 2 feet away from my TV to be able to see shit.
Yeah.
So, but the Jeff Goldblum remake of The Fly.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah.
That was pretty rough.
I haven't seen that movie in like 30 years.
Same.
But it left an impression. But there was that, and then
Michael J. Fox was in it.
Frighteners
was. I liked it.
Frighteners was good. So was Flatliners. Actually, Flatliners was all right.
Original or remake?
Original.
Oh, thank God. I did not enjoy that remake at all.
I didn't.
The concept, yes, but to me, Julia Roberts, Kiefer, all of them.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I mean, speaking of that
shit, was where it was.
Boys. Fucking Lost Boys.
What was? I think I went to the theater to watch the remake
of
Flatliners. And I think I only made it 30 minutes into the movie and I left.
Yeah, there's been a few movies that I've gotten up and walked out of. Flatliners was one. The other one that jumps out at me, 2010 Nightmare on Elm Street. No, thank you. I don't know why I put my money down.
I waited until it came out on streaming services.
So did I, and I was not.
Another one I walked out on was the remake of Friday the 13th.
Same. Yeah, I did not see that one in the theater. I refuse to see that one in the theater. I
I
saw
paid
it on
six buckets.
The $6.
$6 for the tickets, and then it was like, wow, Jared Padalecki's in this.
which is weird because I love the Supernatural TV show.
Yep.
Him and Jensen together can get it. But yeah, I didn't particularly care for the My Bloody Valentine remake, and I didn't particularly care for the Friday the 13th remake. So
I didn't care for the Halloween remake. Either of them.
I was about to say which one.
yeah, Rob Zombie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the Rob Zombie one.
definitely number 2 was I can handle the first one a little bit better than I can the second one.
Same.
But
I couldn't
that
handle
second
those.
one, Spirit Horses and all of that. Are
It was
you
weird.
fucking
It was so
kidding
weird.
me? Well, I mean, Rob Zombie's not the most normal person in the world to begin with. House with
I mean,
Thousand Corpses.
true.
But
So
with
What
all
was
that
that?
said, yeah, his Halloween sequel went so far off in left field. It's like, what in the hell are you trying to do, dude?
13 Ghosts.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, the remake, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the one with
Yeah,
Tony
I,
Shalhoub as the fucking lead.
I haven't seen the original on that, but I personally enjoyed 13 Ghosts.
It was good, although when you watch it now, when it first came out, it was the shit. When you watch it now, there's a lot of why does that make sense? It doesn't. There's a lot of those
Yeah,
moments.
And then the
it doesn't.
remake, for
It
me,
doesn't
House
stand
on
up to the
Haunted Hill.
test of time.
House on Haunted
Ooh,
remake.
I
That one
love
was
the House on Haunted Hill.
yeah, that one was really good.
Oh my gosh. I've been trying forever to find that on a streaming service, on a DVD. I want to rewatch it again because I enjoyed it so much when I was in high school.
You can do
He's got it. You bitch.
I have the DVD. I don't have access to a streaming service with it, but I have the DVD. I have to
you
find
can
it, but I have it.
you can get I think it's Shudder, which is literally just a horror and paranormal streaming service.
Oh yeah, I think I've got. They paired with AMC.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
I'm not gonna lie. I love Shudder. Shudder is the greatest thing to come to streaming services ever.
Okay, here's a hot take. 30 Days of Night.
I forgot about that.
As far as a vampire movie, I actually really dug it, and I actually it was one of the things that wound up getting taken from me in a previous relationship. But I had one of the original graphic novels that it was actually based off of.
No,
Yep, it was taken and sold.
she took it from you.
Yep, it was taken and sold. Yep. I had that. I had one of the original Vampire Hunter D's. What was the other one? I had Polar when it was out. There's a couple of them. Yeah, because that's one of the things that I really enjoy. It takes me forever to go through them because of the eyesight, but I really love those kinds of graphic novels, so I gravitate towards those kinds of movies. And 30 Days of Night, it was jump scares, but they were done so well.
Yeah.
You expected, okay, it's dark and it's vampires. They're going to be lurking. They're going to jump out. But it was the fact that they came out in the open more so than they came out of the shadows. And that was the part that fucked me up the most about that. That one was good. The 28 Days movies.
Oh yeah, those
28 days, 28 weeks.
Yeah, those were really good. I mean, even though the waking up after a coma and the world's ended trope.
It's a trope, but the fact that it was basically mutated rabies.
Yeah.
That that's plausible. That's what made that movie really tense. I wouldn't necessarily call it the greatest zombie movie ever, but what made it great is the fact that they weren't actually zombies. It was just they were rabid. People went feral. Trying to think.
We went through 5.
Retaliators.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
That actually was. Just as a throw it out there.
I'm not gonna lie, you guys have thrown out some damn good movies that I haven't even thought about in so long. I'm gonna have to go log into my streaming services and find as many of these as I possibly can, because sometimes you got to get the older shit that you forget and bring it back to the forefront, because just focusing on your Halloweens and your Nightmare on Elm Streets and all of that can leave a lot of the untapped treasures off on the side and forgotten.
Yeah, I had went through my previous relationship was obsessed with horror movies, so I went through a period of time where I just got over it, and I'm just now getting back into it, and it's like, ooh, I remember that one. That was great.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie though. Like when you guys were talking about the losing the 30 Days a Night graphic novel, that is the one reason why I am sketchy to get into another relationship, because like I have a complete hardcover edition or a complete hardcover library of all of Stephen King's books. And knowing my luck, especially the fact that there is a couple of these books over here on my bookshelf that are actually worth a little bit of money because they have pieces that have been removed for socio-political reasons,
Right.
that if a disgruntled partner wanted to leave a relationship, they could easily take that book and sell it for $25 and literally rip my heart out of my chest and do a Mexican hat dance on it. So it's like,
Mm,
if I'm going to get into a relationship, I'm going to take all the important pieces of that library, lock them up in a safety deposit box, and nobody's going to see them until whenever, because I'm not trying to lose books that are worth at least three digits worth of money value.
fair enough, man.
And the one that comes to mind though, you can't find it on Amazon even for less than $125. So
Jeez.
$125 for a book is a lot of freaking money. I'm not trying to spend that kind of money ever again for a book.
Fair.
I agree.
So, um, so before we wrap it up, I'm going to kind of sort of bring it back to the whole entity of what you guys do as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys have probably been doing this long enough that you've seen enough, you've experienced enough, you've witnessed enough, whatever the case may be, that you probably have a solid opinion as to whether or not um, you have your thoughts on this question. So, before we wrap it up, as a whole, are you guys convinced that ghosts exist in the real world?
I would say that there are human spirits that haven't crossed. Yes. But to the extent of Hollywood quote unquote ghosts, no.
Like the white sheet, blah blah blah. Blah. Yeah, no.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Logically, looking at it from a logical perspective, the human eye only perceives about 1% of the light spectrum. So who's to say one way or the other if it is?
Mhm.
Based on experience, I do. I believe that there are entities out there that could be considered as ghosts. I've been touched, pulled, and scratched, and
True.
smacked, and me go, who the hit me?
Right.
But to give a definitive of ghosts, I think there are entities out there that may portray a person. I think there may be the person that decided, hey, I want to hang out. This person seemed pretty chill.
I mean, yeah, I mean, we've physically actually witnessed that kind of thing happen.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, to the point of Hollywood's portrayal, no. I don't think to that full extent there's such a thing as quote unquote ghosts.
I To me, it seems it's the whole like, are aliens real perspective. I
True.
think as human beings, we are naive to think that there's not something else out there in the universe and that we're the
Yeah.
only intelligent life forms in the world. No, I'm not that dumb to believe that much. Is it exactly like, you know, movies like Independence Day or whatever want you to believe? I don't know per se. But as far as like paranormal stuff goes, I kind of sort of brought this up um, in the last paranormal episode that we did. So I'm kind of going to kind of sort of wrap this one up with this story as well. Back in March, I had a accident where I ended up in the hospital for 2 weeks. The day after I got out of the hospital, my dad passed away. For those of you who don't know, my dad and I, for a long time, had a very unpleasant relationship. We'll just leave it at that because it is what it is. But um, I think it was the second night after he passed away. Um, Before I get to that part, I have to preface the fact too, also that my grandmother, her biggest pet peeve in the world was when I came over to visit, I'd fall asleep in the recliner with my glasses on. She's like, "You're gonna break your glasses. You're gonna ruin your glasses. You need to take them off. Blah 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 before you go to sleep." Okay, whatever, Grandma. I get it. I get it. I get it. But when my dad, like 2 days after my dad passed away, I went to sleep after I got home one night, watching a movie on TV. Fell asleep with my glasses on. I woke up like 15 minutes later. My glasses were off my face and all the way at the far opposite corner of my bed where I could not even reach with my hand to put them there. So
That's cool.
I'm not necessarily saying per se that that's what it was, but my first reaction after I kind of sort of cleared the grogginess from my head was, "Oh, dear God, was that Grandma's way of coming to me and saying, your dad is here. We have put our past behind us. You need to put your past behind you to live your life the best that you can, and you need to move on and not dwell on the hate and the anger that the two of you shared."
Hmm.
Again, I don't know, but it was definitely something that helped me get into that grieving process that happens when you
Yeah.
lose a loved one. So it definitely was, it had a very real feeling to it and
Hmm.
was kind of raw. So, but it's something that I'm definitely always going to carry with me. And one of those things where at the end of the day, I don't know for 100% sure what happened, but could it very well have been an instant like that? Possibly.
Yeah.
Who's to say, you know? So, with all that said, this was definitely a lot of fun, guys. I appreciated and enjoyed having you guys on.
Thank you for having
I
us.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely not a problem. And I actually would like to get the girls back on page and have you guys back on the show and we can do some more discussions
Okay.
because
Sure.
I think we have some great similar opinions, maybe dissimilar opinions, not to say, but sometimes dissimilar can be just as entertaining as having similar opinions too. So, do you guys want to remind the listeners about who you are really quick and anything that you may or may not have coming up that you can talk about?
So we, he and I usually head up the team together,
Hmm.
but we are a team of sensitives, paranormal investigators known as Spirit Mechanix, spelled with an X instead of a CS, because we're edgy.
Edgy.
You know, you can cut yourself with the edge, but all jokes aside, we do everything from paranormal investigation of public places to investigations of homes. We also do house cleansings. We teach metaphysics, spirituality, and the next big event that we have going on is Scarefest, and that's going to be the 20th through the 22nd of October, and it's going to be here in Lexington, Kentucky, at the Central Bank Center.
With or without Robert Englund?
Without this year.
We got David Arquette is going to be there this year.
Richard Dreyfuss.
No, I think he canceled.
Did he?
I think Richard Dreyfuss canceled. I think.
Either way, David Arquette is still pretty big though too.
Dylan McDermott. There's going to be a lot of the American Horror Story people. They're going to be there. There's a couple from The Walking Dead that are going to be there. Of course, you've got your staples: Kane, R.A.,
Jason, Nate.
Yeah, Jason. Trying to think, because I know there was a couple of big reunion things. They've got photo ops for a lot of it. One of
Spencer Charnas is going to be there from Ice Nine Kills.
Yep, that's one I'm looking forward to.
Heck yeah.
Which, if you're into that kind of music, which we are, loud, angry noises, Spencer Charnas of Ice Nine Kills, all of their music is based in horror films. So each one of their songs is actually a different movie, and it's
nice.
Yeah,
I like
that. They're pretty awesome, actually. If you look into them, they've got some really cool shit.
Like one of my favorite ones, the shower scene. So they do, basically do a metal telling of Psycho.
American Psycho.
No, Psycho.
Was it?
American Psycho.
It was.
American Psycho was
Hip
to Be Scared.
That's it. Yeah, Hip to Be Scared. My Bloody Valentine was Take Your Pick. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, they did that with Corpse Grinder from
Cannibal Corpse.
Cannibal Corpse. But anyway,
yeah, we'll talk music for like ever.
Jesus.
Music and movies and TV are like the three things that if we just freaking hit record, I could probably do minimum 3 to 4 hours on.
Same.
It's a third language.
It is.
It even so much that and like I said, the girls can attribute to this as well, that we have group chats on Facebook where we can just sit there and just back and forth, just full on conversations using nothing but song lyrics and song titles or movie titles and movie lines or whatever the case may be.
Same.
Some of the shit we need to publish this shit in a book and see how cohesive of a story we can make at the end of the day.
Actually, that sounds kind of fun.
Yeah. That's definitely a coffee table novel.
Oh, 100%.
It would be fun. So, yeah, again, with all that said, thank you guys for being here. This was definitely a lot of fun. I will be discussing when we can try and get you guys back together with all three of us and do this again, because I think the girls would enjoy getting to sit down and talk to you guys as well. Coming up the rest of the month, I'll do this as quickly as I can. We've got, in no particular order, Hellraiser coming up from Dusk Till Dawn, Five Nights at Freddy's after it drops on Peacock, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and then
you forgot a bunch of them, man.
I think that just about covers the horror movie section of. Oh, we got Candyman and a couple of Studio 666 coming up, either in October or early in November. So you guys can stay tuned for that as well. You can find us on all social media platforms. You can find me as well. If you need help finding it, just look for Kasey Box. I am on Facebook, wherever, just plop in the name. Otherwise, and I can direct you to the different social medias as well. Anything at the Movies drops each and every Wednesday morning at the ass crack of dawn. You can find us wherever you get your podcast listening fix. Literature Reapers drops the first Monday and third Monday of the month. I'm not sure when our next episode's coming up rather quickly, so stay tuned for that as well. We will definitely be updating you guys when we get a final date for that. Other than that, though, again, Steve, Brian, thank you for being here. Thank you to the listeners for being here each and every week. You guys are incredible, amazing, and we love you. And at the end of the day, we hope everybody comes back for an evening at the movies. Have a good week, guys.